Okay, I'm going to start a little bit off topic today, but bear with me. When I was in seminary, we had regular intramural sports competitions. In those days, for historical reasons, the seminary didn't hold classes on Mondays until after lunch, leaving Monday mornings free for intramurals. And of course, in the fall, we had flag football. Usually each class would field a team, and often the faculty and staff would field teams as well. The season culminated with a game between the two best teams in a game we called the Calvin Bowl. It was also our unofficial homecoming game, tongue-in-cheek, at which we crowned a homecoming king and queen. And the homecoming queen was named, and keep in mind this was 40 years ago, Miss Total Depravity, a humorous reference to one of the Reformed tradition's beliefs that raises eyebrows. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Saturday, February 8th, 2025. Total depravity. Just the sound of it is enough to raise eyebrows and even hackles. On the face of it, it seems unnecessarily harsh, a take on human nature that seems to deny that there is anything good within us. It should come as no surprise to you if you've been listening to my devotionals long enough, though, that the reality is more nuanced than that. As we'll see, the idea of total depravity does not mean that we are 100% corrupt. It does mean that there is no part of us that is free from the corrupting influence of sin. But I get ahead of myself. The idea of total depravity falls under the general heading theological anthropology. That's technical speak for what we're doing in theology when we describe human beings. Ideas like original sin, the doctrine of sin generally, and any theological reflection on human capabilities and limitations is a theological anthropology. Total depravity is a subset of the doctrine of sin. The doctrine of sin is an attempt to describe the reality of the world in which we live. Why do human beings continue to harm one another? Why do we continue to act counter to the clear commands of God? For us, the idea of sin helps describe the reality of who we are. For some, this is still too harsh a judgment on human nature. I myself, in my teenage years, thought it was a terrible doctrine. I believed human beings were fundamentally good. The problem was I could never account for the reality of why our world is such a mess. I was tempted to blame it all on society. But what is society, after all, but human beings living in community with each other? Society itself cannot be corrupt unless those who live within it are corrupt. So my adolescent romantic notion of human beings as essentially good just fell apart. At the same time, it is clear that human beings are capable of great good. All I have to do is look at all of you on Sunday morning to see humanity at its best. But even among ourselves, we have our disagreements and conflicts. If we were all essentially good down to the core, where would these conflicts come from? The answer is simple, and simpler than you might think. We just seem hardwired to see and perceive the world around us from our own limited perspectives. We have self-interests that affect our judgments on a great many things. And so, different people of goodwill can and do see things very differently. And the resulting conflicts of opinions can set even people of goodwill, even friends, at odds with each other, and sometimes become the source of angry, even violent conflict. Now, there has been vigorous debate throughout the history of our tradition about the extent of human sin. Some of our confessions declare that we are incapable of any good on our own. But that doesn't necessarily represent Reformed faith for all time. As I suggested a moment ago, it is a bit more nuanced than that. We do agree with the Apostle Paul, who wrote, quoting Psalms 14 and 53, "We have already charged that both Jews and Greeks are under the power of sin. As it is written, there is no one who is righteous, not even one. There is no one who has understanding. There is no one who seeks God. All have turned aside. Together they have become worthless. There is no one who shows kindness. There is not even one. But Paul doesn't believe that human beings are incapable of any good. Clearly, we are capable of incredible acts of kindness and generosity. But we are also equally and clearly capable of acting selfishly and even unjustly. That's where the idea of total depravity actually helps. It simply says that there is no part of us that remains uninfected by sin. There is no core deep down that if we were able to peel away the layers of corruption, we would get down to that essential goodness within. We're not like some fruit that has an inner core that you can get to through layers of outer and inner flesh. We're more like onions. When you peel away the layers, you realize there is no inner core, but the whole vegetable consists of layer after layer of the same thing. It doesn't mean there is no good within us. It just means that even the good within us is corrupted by sin. All in the world the idea of total depravity says, and I think this is confirmed by observing how people actually behave, is that sin and good are so intertwined within us that at no point do we act out of completely selfless motives. The good is in there. It's just impossible to entangle it from the reality of sin that corrupts. And if nothing else, that sin is the inability to fully see the world from any but our own limited perspective. Look, humans are good, but sin is real, and the two realities are always with us. Now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.